All right, so now we have airline passengers. So for U.S. airline companies, the percentage of total revenue that is generated by in-plane passengers can be modeled by this function, and where X is going to be the number of in-plane passengers in billions. Data is from point 1 to 1, and we need to write a model for the rate of change of the percentage of total revenue that's generated. So we need to find f prime of x, and then we need to start plugging in values after that. So let's first do our f prime of x. Well, our g of x is going to be equal to that inside function. So this here piece here. So it's going to be 113.17 x to the 1.222, and f of g is going to be what's left over, 2.5 ln of g plus 33.3. Now we need g prime of x, and we need f prime of g. So that's going to be 113.17 times. Now we'll bring that down, so it's going to be 1.222 x to the that minus 1, so it's going to be to the 0.222. And here, this is going to be 2.5 divided by g, because the derivative of ln of g is 1 over g. And so now what we can do is we can multiply all that together to get our df dx. And so we'll have 2.5 over g times. And if we multiply that together, we could get a value. So that's going to be 113.17 times 1.222, and so that's going to give us 138.29374. We'll go ahead and write it all down, because then we'll have the whole thing, x to the 0.222. And so that's this. Now we need to get rid of that g, because we need everything in terms of x. And so we'll have 2.5 times that number now. And so that's going to give us 345.7. Let's go to 34, and then it's x to the 0.222 all over g, which is our 113.17 x to the 1.222. Okay. So that's going to be our function. And what is it going to tell us as far as our thing? Well, it's going to be percent, and let's call it percentage points per, and it's x is in billions, so billions of passengers. All right. And so that's going to be our rate of change for that revenue then. All right, and so now we could simplify this more, because we could take this divided by this and this divided by this and get a really simple answer. But for now we'll just leave it as that, and we can plug it into our thing, because what we could do is we could take that 345.734 divided by 113.17, and that would be uh, 3.055. Now that will cancel that there, so that's just going to be over x. So it's even easier than I thought it was going to be. So yeah, so that would be probably the best f prime to use, because then whatever we plug in for x, it goes real simple. Okay. All right. So let's write that down on the next page. 305 over x, and then ask for what percentage of total revenue is generated by 500 million passengers. Well, remember it's in billions, so 500 million is half a billion, and so we want to find out what f of x is. So f of x, or in this case when x is equal to 5, or half rather, is f of 0.5 equals that 2.5, and then it was ln, and then it was, I need to get my book out here, 1.113.17 x to the 1.222, but x is a half. to that power. And so let's plug all that into our calculator. So we get 2.5 ln of 113.17 times 0.5 to the point. Oops. Yeah, to 1.22. And so I get roughly, oh, then there's plus 33.3. 43.004605 if we're going to that percent. Okay. So going to 3 decimal places because that's kind of what we've been doing in class. So we'll go to 3. And so that's going to be our percent for, and this was part B. And part C asks what is the rate of change, I think now. How quickly is the percentage change? Okay, so now that gives us f prime of x, and we want, again, x to be equal to 0.5, so f prime of 0.5 is equal to 3.055 divided by 0.5, so divide that, 3.055 divided by 0.5, and we get 6.11, and that's all it is, so we'll leave it at that. And that's percentage points per, and it was billion passengers. Okay, and so that would be that for part C. And this, if we wrote it out, that was our part A, simplified. Again, we could have left it with this, but since we can divide that by that and get 3.055 and take and reduce that and get X, then I think that's the best and simplest form we could use. Okay, so how quickly was it changing? It was changing by, increasing by 6.11 percentage points per billion passengers. All right, let's stop there and we'll come back for more.